Cool. Oscar, you're on your way. You guys exit out of the noodle bar. And like I said, it's like it was between 4:30 and 5 when you got there, so it's probably around like 6:30 ish now. Yeah, probably earlier, maybe like 5:36. And so like the sun is setting, and it's a this has a sun very much like Earth. It's very orange, kind of yellowish sun. So the temperature on the planet is roughly that of Earth as well. It's a very temperate place. So yeah. So you guys walk out into the night where it's still a little bit humid outside, and the noise from inside the noodle place kind of dies down as the door swings closed, and you guys are kind of standing out on the street. So what do you do from here? Your mission was to come over here and ask some locals about some stuff, but rolling a 2, man, that's just not gonna help.
Margot's a real bad spy, guys. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah,
she actually is.
I probably look over at her and be like, well, that didn't get us too far.
But she's so inconspicuous.
Dude, that's not why you guys brought me along. Let's be completely real here.
But that's what you went out to do.
True, yeah.
What else was I gonna? Actually, no. I went out to get food.
I know.
I'm pretty sure she went out to get drunk.
I'm pretty sure I did what I said I was gonna do.
Margot, Gogo heard red light district and then was out the door.
Exactly. I've eaten and I have alcohol. I've done my job.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Cool. So, Fortune, do you like send the false alarm code via space emoji?
I think at this point, Margot actually looks at her compad and sees like what he was sent and what Boomer sent her, and she's like, "Oh God, nothing was gonna happen, you guys. Jeez, you overreact."
Right. So it's like that moment where Fortune and Gogo are like standing next to each other, but they're both typing on their compads in the same group text, not saying a word.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So like you guys are doing that,
like,
and
the
like
only thing that comes across is just facepalm.
Right.
That's all you get from it.
Yeah. So indiscriminate amount of time later, where you guys are maybe like strolling up a street, and you hear the distinctive noise of what can only be described as Wong's taxi come careening up the street.
What is whatever? Just think about the last time you heard someone vomiting, and then apply a Doppler effect to it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, basically that.
Yeah, so screeching around the corner comes Oscar, in the driver's seat of his cramped new taxi, which is again beat to hell. The wheels are probably the best part on the entire vehicle because it's the only part that's ever been replaced in its entire existence. And you know, it's got like all the like beads and crap hanging from the rearview mirror, and you can see Wong in the back seat, who like is passed out, like curled up in a ball, basically on one side of the seat. And so yeah, Oscar, you arrive, and they appear to not be in any immediate danger.
Yeah, so I think Oscar would, like, you know, get up to them, slam on the brakes, get out, and just stand there and like look around, be like, you sent the scary emojis.
I just look at Fortune like
it's taken care of.
Are there bodies?
Not this time.
Under her breath, Margot's like, there should be.
You are... I'm sorry. You are fine then.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah. It was on the verge of not being fine.
So with that, I think Oscar just looks back at his compad and he he texts Boomer and says, or asks rather, if they have all of the information that he thinks they need.
I think you've definitely got enough to make a survey, like to at least get a general scope without going underground. You've got enough surface data, Boomer.
Okay, so like for now, we probably have enough to call it
A night.
Yeah, call it a night, basically.
Sure. Before Go-Go gets someone killed.
Right.
Call it a night at 6:30? What the hell?
Well, you just tried to kill 3 people we don't even know. So.
And it's only 6:30.
Right?
Think about what she could do with another 5.5 hours.
I didn't even go to the CD bar yet, guys.
Yeah. Well, sure.
So I'm
yeah.
gently coercing her into the back of the cab as I'm.
Oh, Margo would drive the taxi. Hold
Right.
on.
Yeah.
No.
True.
Hey,
Yeah.
that is Oscar's taxi. First off.
Oh.
Second.
I don't know, man.
Second, like, is there more? You know, I mean, so I'm expecting that there is some sort of exchange that happens between Boomer and Oscar. Like, do we want to go try and get more information? Like, Oscar is not your tech guy here, so if there's more to be
I'd
done,
say-
you need to tell him what needs to be done.
At this point, Boomer would just reply by text. Just, I have all the raw data that I need on the tech side of it. But if you guys want to start doing some social hacking, that's also kind of my field. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
None of us
aren't
do
you
that
also
either.
the social hacker?
So yeah,
Hey,
Boomer.
come pick me up!
Right. Yeah.
Oscar-
We got a
Oscar
taxi.
Come pick me up. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, Oscar waves for he. You know, he opens the back door, and he waves Go-Go and Fortune in.
Margo rides shotgun.
Right. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you
definitely.
take the survey scanner, you put it on the floor. Because I actually don't know how large a survey scanner is. I think it's probably enough to like carry. It's like I think it's 1 encumbrance or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not
Oh,
sitting
sure.
in the back with the vomit. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. No, actually,
Well,
surprisingly, Wong has missed the car
Wow.
every time.
So,
There's
was
it's-
that like a good luck roll or?
well, no. So
It's like his baby.
right, exactly. This
Oh, that's
is
true.
it's his livelihood, right? So
It's
he's
his
actually
fucking house too.
and right. He's probably well practiced in missing getting vomit on the car, like at all points in
So I
time.
definitely probably pick up Wong and I put him in the trunk because he's passed out and you want to know the difference.
Sure.
And I
Yeah,
put
you
him
just
back.
you push the button and the back seat like falls down and you just roll them back there and then push it back up and he's
Yeah.
now in the trunk. You don't have to open the trunk. You just fold the seat down, roll him back there, fold the seat back up, and then sit in the back.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
absolutely.
Yep.
Sweet deal. Yeah, Oscar just heads back. He's been having too much fun driving to give up the.
Sure. Yeah.
To give
So
up the
you
cab.
guys head over to the Chung Ho Hotel, and I think that that's perfect
You're probably
timing.
scaring the hell out of Go-Go.
Right.
You probably just barely got enough grasp on driving. to
Yeah.
not be out, but you're probably still coming dangerously close to everything.
So yeah, so in like the 30 minutes or so that it takes them to get back to the Chung Ho Hotel, what are you doing, Boomer? Are you just simply like going over the data and figuring it out?
Yeah, at that point, he's still crunching
Okay.
the numbers and all the infrastructure information
Sure.
that he has, and he's
So-
continuing to build it up from the foundation.
So I need you to make me a computers or a science roll, both based off intelligence, whichever you prefer. Because I should say this: each one will give you different information depending on what you decide, and how well you
Choose
roll,
your own
obviously.
adventure.
Hey,
Go to page 47 if you want a computer roll.
right? Yeah, exactly.
You died. Oh shit! I'm going back.
Right? Yeah. Go back to page 1.
What's it gonna be?
So page 1 is the Scream. So we're 400 years in the past. Boomer, I didn't know it was so agonizing
All right,
to decide between computers. You know what? You could roll both if you want, but you're only going to get one right now.
You know what?
That's why I'm asking.
I actually do want to roll both.
So yeah, so you'll get one right now. Like choose the one you want before they get to you. That will give you some information because it's going to require more time and another. Like you can roll the second one at a different point and get it. I'm also attempting to play this so that you can use your reroll if you wanted to on both of them if you play some in between making the first roll and the second roll.
No
Okay, cool.
need.
So computer skill check. You got a 10. 10's great. 10's a really good roll. So yeah, computers is used for like deciphering data, etc., etc. And you get a good overlay of the layout of the land. You're not going to get any from the computer's roll. You're not going to get any like of the like actual sciencey portion of like earthquakes and what goes on with earthquakes and that kind of stuff. But with a computer's roll, you're able to like filter through the garbage in the information that you gathered, and you begin to see a pattern form. The pattern that is starting to form is locations that are closer to that power plant that you flew over at that one point, right over here, are relatively less affected than locations farther away from the power plant. For example, when Oscar was doing his swing out by like the Bayonne Lane over here, there was like very like based on the data that was acquired. Yeah, what's up?
Jordan, when you ping, can you do it not in the Twitch purple because it blends too well into the gray?
Yes, here. See that? Is that better? So like farther away from the power plant in the city over here, there are not signs of damage, but there is clearly far more infrastructure in place to prevent damage should an earthquake occur. And in locations closer to the power plant, like down here, there is far less infrastructure designed to prevent damage. That's the pattern you can see from your computer skill check. So it seems like there is a focal point for insert something here, kind of situated on that power plant.
Gotcha.
Cool. And I think that as Oscar rolls up to the hotel, and you guys get out of the car, you begin to you hear there's a tone that comes out over these loudspeakers that are positioned and have been positioned. You've seen them over the place. These speakers.
God damn it. Is there a curfew?
That have been positioned throughout the city, and like a mechanical voice comes on, and it says, "Rationing will begin in 10 minutes. Rationing will begin in 10 minutes."
This is like
and
the
then
Purge.
It cuts off.
That was my exact thought. Is do I need to get ready to fight somebody?
Hey, you guys have no idea what this is.
I'm going to go to the front desk and actually ask the equivalent to the concierge or the front desk attendant.
Yeah, it's that weird.
It's super happy nice lady.
Yeah, it's super happy nice lady, right? Yeah, she's still there. It's still her. She appears to be the only person that works here.
She never sleeps.
Right, and she's like, "Oh, hello. How may I help you?"
So, what was that? The rationing will start in 10 minutes?
Oh, is this your first trip to New Panlong?
Yes.
Well, in New Panlong, we are very blessed by the government to be given food for free. It occurs twice daily, once in the mornings for breakfast and once in the evening for dinner.
And where are these distribution sites?
Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Is it roll 20?
Warning, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's roll 20. Okay, good. Not me. Perfect. Yeah, so she says, "Oh, there's one just up the block." And she's like, "But as a visitor, you don't need to worry about this. We'll go grab your rations for you."
Oh, okay. That'd be great. Thank you.
Have a pleasant stay in the Chung Ho.
Just kind of nod, smile, and turn back to everybody else. Gesture for them to follow me like 10 steps. Like, yes, we should definitely go.
Right, and I think that as you guys are in there, you hear the sound of like carts being pushed, like waiter carts, like these big, tall, like food stacking you've ever seen in any like production kitchen or any like big chef's kitchen or whatever, but these like large food carts that are being pushed, and there's like probably like 4 or 5 guys that are pushing these massive carts, and they're headed out like the front doors of the hotel from inside the hotel.
I'm just gonna kind of motion for everybody to follow me and start following the carts.
Yeah, I was gonna say follow the carts.
Yeah, cool. So do you guys follow the carts, I assume?
Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar is very curious about this
Sure.
whole, not particularly out of personal hunger, but just wondering what the hell is going on.
Right.
Wait,
yeah.
I think Margot would go to the taxi and let Wong out of the trunk first,
I think
so we
that
don't kill him.
perfect.
Anyway,
Because I think that as you get there, you hear like banging on the trunk, and then right before you get there, it like pops open, and you see Wong like get up, and he's like, "Did I hear the tone for Rashi?"
Margot like startled because I assumed he like opened it like in her face. She's like, yeah, over there. Do you want some?
He's like, "Oh, good timing!" And he gets out, and he kind of like dusts himself off because he's filthy, but not covered in vomit because he knows how to avoid that. And he looks and he's like, "Ah, just where left it." He's like, he like walks over to the car. He like ensures that he like does like a once around, which no one would ever be able to tell except for him if there's new damage to this vehicle, and there's not because Oscar was fairly good driver. And so then he's like, "Okay, we go now." And he begins like trotting off towards he leaves his vehicle there. He begins trotting off towards the ration area.
I would just follow behind him.
Sure. Yeah. So you guys head off.
Yes.
And you see that the reason he left the car is because there is a mass of people that are now kind of filing into the streets. Fairly orderly. There's a lot of women with like children on their backs and holding the hand of one, and there's obviously some like working class men who have like briefcases and they're all smoking EHO sticks or death sticks or whatever you want to call them, whatever the significant or whatever the plant that you can smoke on Furial is, wrapped in paper that is flammable. Yeah, they're walking down the street and having some kind of discussion in Cantonese, right? Because you know Mandarin.
Someone
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right, yeah, in Cantonese. And yeah, so they're just walking down the street essentially. And as you get closer to the location, like the carts kind of like kind of get hidden by the crowd a little bit, and it becomes more and more like tightly packed. Do you guys continue like to like weave your way through the crowd?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
No.
I would be on guard about that. Like if it's beginning to become crowded.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's
if you've ever been,
definitely-
if you've ever been at like a parade, like you're
yeah.
starting to get that like cramped in feeling a little bit.
Right,
I definitely don't want to go forward anymore. I would rather go up.
Right. Yeah. So you could totally try and do that if you wanted to.
I would definitely want to do that.
Yeah, I think you can find a building, no problem, that you could do it from, to like get a vantage point. But you don't really know how far it is to this point. Like it's just starting to get crowded, but it's reasonably like not that far because there's people that are actually just like waiting. Like they're done like walking and they're just like collecting everybody and making sure everybody's here and doing head counts and stuff. So yeah, so I think that in like the square, which just for sanity's sake, let me just go ahead and draw it. Draw shape, and we'll make it
Right around here.
make it green. Yeah, that's probably a good place. Actually, it's probably like right here. Ooh, that does not show up at all. We're not gonna make it that color.
You
Delete.
can see it okay.
Apparently, Will's eyes are bad. We'll make it. We'll make it orange. There we go. Perfect.
That works.
So yeah, this is the general like area, and in this general area, it's not quite downtown, but there are like businesses and stuff. Like they still line the streets pretty heavily. It's more like how do I describe this? It's like there's not a whole lot of multi-level buildings, but there are a few that are 2 or 3 story buildings. And based upon like the layout of this place, you could easily, Fortune definitely could easily get up on one of those without really being noticed, or nobody would really care. In fact, there's probably other people who are like, that may even like live up on like upper apartments or whatever, that, you know, maybe they just wait till the crowds die down or whatever. But yeah, no, you could totally do it. That's no problem. And get an vantage point. So I assume you let the group know that you're going to do that.
Yeah, I just kind of like, hey, and then I just point up.
Yeah.
And then I go.
I mean, Oscar would be inclined to follow, but
Sure.
I don't know about the rest of the group.
I'm in line with Boomer, arm in arm.
All right then.
You're in line for food?
Yeah, in the group of people.
Yeah, Oscar stays there.
Yeah, Boomer just entwines his arm with Gogo's and just kind of pushes a little bit more into the crowd.
Actually,
seemingly just kind of getting lost into it.
Are we basically just going straight up?
Yeah, you probably find like a decent like 3-story building, so you could be like 30 feet or a little more, like 35 feet above the ground. And you can see probably from there, like there's like a plaza square. And set up in the middle is a bunch of trucks and stuff.
Yeah, I take it back. I go up with if they're not leaving the general vicinity, I go up with Fortune.
Yeah, it's gonna be like you two up top, like observing from afar, and Margot or Gogo and Boomer are gonna be kind of the on the ground ears, right? Because you guys can see everything, but hearing and kind of like experiencing it is going to not be what's gonna happen to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So you guys get up there, no problem. It's probably like a nice little like terraced, and you can see like up on top. It's probably like a warehouse of sorts. So it's up on top. There's like a small like it's like that gravel rooftop feel, and it's got like AC units and stuff. And you probably the way you get up there's probably like a service ladder where the lock and the guard have long since deteriorated or been broken off or stolen or whatever. So the ladder's just literally on the ground and anybody can access it. So you guys, you climb up the ladder. Oh, sorry. You get up the ladder and
yeah, I was gonna say, hold on.
Right. Yeah, and it's all rusted and it creaks a little bit, but you guys get up there no problem and have a nice vantage point. You're probably like maybe like 100 yards away from the center, 100 meters, I should say, since everything's in meters. From like the center of the plaza area where this event is taking place. Cool, yeah, and then Gogo and Boomer, how close are you going to attempt to get to like the front?
Boomer's not actually working to get to the front. He's just wanting to get into the middle of the crowd and start doing those interpersonal studies, actually looking people over, looking at, trying to overhear parts of their conversation, even though he speaks 0 Cantonese.
Sure, but you can still like as a social, like you're a fairly social person, you could still pick up on like pitches and tones and like, everybody would know a mother scolding her child in any fucking language, right? Like, so like
is this more like festival or desperation?
Right, yeah, you can totally like pick up the difference in mood of the crowd.
And that's kind of what I'm going for. And does it look like there are any like high-ranking people here, or does it all just seem like blue-collar?
So yeah, so that's
workers?
The deal. Is as I described, there are a representative of every caste you could imagine. There are business workers.
Soldiers.
There, no soldiers. There are business workers, which are like, like clearly guys in business suits who have a 9-to-5 job and like they're nicely dressed and they're in tailored suits and briefcases, and one of them's probably like talking on a compad or like working, or one of them probably has a data slab out and they're working, with their shiny shoes. But then like right next to them there is maybe like a mother with like 3 or 4 children, and her clothes are in tatters, and she's like trying to wrestle all of her children in order, and so it's this weird dichotomy of different things all congregated for a centralized purpose, which is probably like the most telling of what's going on.
Right. Okay.
And I think that the air, the like general insight of the area, that is not, it's not festive, right? It's not a celebratory thing, but it's not necessarily like despair. It is certainly not like what was at the spaceport. It is distinctly different from that feel.
Okay.
It is more of a air of like,
Just the way things are.
yeah, kind of not excitement.
It's just like, well, time to get the food now.
Right, yeah. What's like, not.
It's just kind of an
professionalism.
acceptance that this is their place.
Right, yeah.
Like
It's
apathy.
yeah, apathy. That's a good word for it, I think. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of like despair. There's not people like, you hear babies crying because babies cry all the time, but like,
Yeah, there's no one like
there's not people that are like forcing
In
their way to the front of the
desperation.
line. Right. There's not people that are like starting fights to get better spots in line. Like, that's not happening. Everybody's
Yeah.
somewhat orderly in the fact that they're all kind of like lining up and, getting ready to receive their rations. So from up top, you guys can see actually the activity going on in the middle of the plaza area. And it appears like there's 4 or 5 large, like, half-ton military vehicles, and you, Fortune, you see guys that are in the exact same uniform as those guys that were in the bar. They are like leaping down off these trucks, and you see them like tossing down boxes to each other, and they're like very clearly like setting up. And you see that there is like what could only be described as a 15-passenger van that rolls up, and you see people who appear to be in like lab coats getting out. And then supplies like are being pulled out of the back or like underneath of the truck. And there's like a perimeter of barricades set up like kind of around, so the area is clear, so you have a good view of it. And from the like 5-ton or the half-ton trucks, they're pulling down like these booths basically that are like being set up. And it looks like different stations. So it's kind of weird because that does kind of look like what could only be described as a festival, right? Like, that's kind of that, but it's very clearly like they're all either military or appear to be scientists of some sort or something. And there are a couple you see in there now as well. There appear to be a couple like volunteers, because let's be honest, any event you ever go to has volunteers, and they all are very clearly volunteers. Like,
yeah,
they're wearing like a t-shirt that has like the name of their group on it, right?
yeah.
And
are any of the like affiliations or symbols things that Oscar would be likely to notice?
Yeah, I mean the symbol on like the t-shirts of those volunteers is the same as the patch on the shoulders of the soldiers. It's very clearly all Shinobi Alliance.
Okay, so that's nothing. That's nothing like surprising.
No, not at all.
Okay, fair enough.
And the two of you up top, you can begin to see too that there are like in the barricades, there's queues being formed. Like the volunteers are like arranging people in queues, and then once everything is set up in the middle, the crowd has kind of died down a little bit. And I think a guy like one of the soldiers, he's apparently like a lieutenant or an officer of some sort. He gets up on a soapbox, haha, and like holds up the loudspeaker to his mouth, and he's like shouting to the crowd. He's like, "Today's portion will be 2 per person from your benevolent government leader." And the crowd kind of like Boomer and Go-Go, you guys get this feel. There's kind of like whispering, like, "Oh, awesome! We're getting now it's turning into excitement, right?" Like there wasn't excitement before because it was like, this is every day, we're gonna go do this thing. But now it's like, oh, this is strange. We don't normally get this kind of treatment. Right? Yeah. They're getting essentially extra food. And so, you know, everybody kind of gets excited, and there's some cheering, like, and some clapping and whatever. The business guys, though, they're just kind of like, they just kind of like look up and like address it and then go back to whatever they're doing. They're very nonchalant about everything. But yeah, so then as the gates open, the volunteers you see them from up top. You guys can see from the ground. You guys can't see this so much, but from up top you can see them. They're like, every group that comes up, they have a short little brief conversation, and then they direct them to where they're supposed to go. And you see that while the system does not appear efficient, the cooperation of the people is making it seem like it is progressing at a rapid rate. Because this appears to be such a practiced event, that everybody kind of like knows exactly what to do to get out of there, and very quickly the crowd begins like slowly like shuffling forward through the things. And you can see the whole time there's like the government, the soldier guys, and they're like passing out food. And you guys can see from up top too. I assume that you have did you take Boomer's binoculars? I think Boomer's the one that has them. But you also have a scope, obviously, if you want to pull out your rifle. Unfortunately.
Well, I have binoculars.
Oh, okay. You have binoculars. Cool. Even better. So yeah, you guys can spot. You know, maybe you're sharing them, and you can see. You know, each of you can observe what's going on. You see that those scientist guys, they apparently are providing like vaccinations. Like, you'll see there's like a stool over by one of their booths, and you see kids and adults like coming up, and they roll up their sleeves and they hit them with a needle, and then they dump it in a bag, and they, you know, cotton swab and Band-Aid and send them on their way. And also there's people that are going to other, like, of the I'll call them doctors now, because that's what they are, to like the other doctor stations, and they're receiving like bags of the bags that have the little, because the Red Cross never goes away. I mean, it's just iconic, right? You know, bags with little like Red Cross on them, and the people are like bowing and thanking and walking away. And yeah, so Fortune, and I would assume Oscar too, you've definitely probably seen like setups like this before, right? This is 100% like wartime or disaster relief setups.
It sounds like a refugee camp. Like this is not for long-term civilian use. This is
right. And so
at
strangely,
least not typically.
Right. So oddly enough, right, this is clearly government resource. So it's not like people are being, you know, like, and no one you see gets turned away from the gates. It's not like you have to be a certain part or sect. Everybody is treated exactly the same. The business guys that come through get the same exact conversation and treatment and rations as the poorest of the poor that come through. And you can see as well, like, individuals are counted equally. An infant gets just as much portion as the full-grown adult. Everybody is being treated 100% flatline across the board in every respect.
So we're just looking at a more efficient version of communism right now.
Right. Yeah, that would be a very good way to put it. So what you mean is like fascism, right?
Socialism.
Right.
Yeah,
socialism.
Yeah, sorry.
It's basically socialism, right? Like that's if you understand.
It's socialism to its farthest extent.
Right. Yep. That's a good way to describe it.
Got it.
Yeah, but yeah, and again, like the government are handing out the resources for the people, and like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it any better than that for you guys. You guys can glean or ask questions about that procedure as you see fit.
Yeah. I mean,
it seems
from where he stands, like Oscar is very curious about this, but there's really not a lot more that he can piece together from a rooftop.
Sure.
So I think he's kind of just gonna wait to check in with the folks on the ground, and ask them about what they think is going on. Sure.
So as the line begins to, or as the crowd begins to shuffle towards, you know, you're kind of shuffled along, Go-Go and Boomer, and eventually your turn comes up, and you walk up as a group to one of the volunteers, and he begins speaking to you in Cantonese, and I assume that you tell him no es speaky Cantoneso.
Right.
Right.
With just like a kind smile and a shake of my head, just like I don't understand.
Right.
Again,
and
we've determined I know enough for someone else to have
Yes.
some idea of what I was saying.
No,
Oh,
absolutely.
Come on.
Yeah. You can. It's very. It's like the difference between like Portuguese and Spanish are very close to each other. Like most people that speak Spanish can also decipher Portuguese and vice versa.
Sure.
So it's kind of like that. Yeah. You can definitely pick it up and like explain it to them. But he recognizes that it's a different dialect. And he says like one moment, and he like waves over like what is like a lead volunteer. That's the only way to describe it. He's in a yellow shirt. Everybody else is in gray shirts. He's in a yellow shirt, so he's obviously more important. He waves him over, and the guy comes over, and they have a quick conversation in Cantonese that you pick up on, and it says, they don't speak Cantonese. Do you speak Mandarin? Because I think she speaks Mandarin. Like, she has a different dialect. Yada yada yada. So then the guy in the yellow shirt, he addresses you, and you guys up on the rooftop can obviously see this as well. He addresses you in Mandarin, actually in Common. He actually addresses you in English, and he says, do you speak English?
Oh, yes. Thank
Yes,
goodness.
we speak English.
Yes. You are visitors to Panlong, yes?
Yes, just recently arrived. We're still trying to get our bearings and looking for work.
He goes, yes. Do you have your... And he holds up, like his hands in, like a card formation. He goes, identification?
Okay, providing my West Wind identification.
Sure, yeah.
Same, yeah. Whatever we got, we signed in for what we got here.
Yeah, and he looks over him, and he, checks the hologram and whatever, and he hands it back, and he says, okay, you're... And he kind of looks, he's like, you're visitors of New Panlong, you're authorized the same portion as everyone else. Please proceed right along. Are you in need of any medical assistance today?
No, thank you.
Have you had all your vaccinations?
Yes, I'm current, thank you.
Okay, very well. Do you require shelter tonight?
Just kind of gripping Gogo's arm a little bit more noticeably. It's like, no, I think we're fine.
He goes, oh, very well. They will see to your needs over here. And he motions for you to go to one of the booths to receive food, since that's all you really, asked. Or that's all you really determined to him that you require.
Right, okay. Moving along in the directed area.
Yeah, so you move along to the booth, and there's one of the soldier guys, and he takes out 2 bags, and they have, two, pre-packaged meals. Not MREs, they're not that bad, but they're they're like TV dinners, right? And there's 2 of them in each bag, and they're enough for a meal for either of you, so that's 2 different meals. So, and he sets them on the table, and he says, have a pleasant stay in New Panlong.
Taking the bags and thanking him.
Yep. And you guys are ushered to the exit queue that exit out. Overall, a very efficient ordeal. You probably took longer than everyone else in line.
Okay. Just stepping off to the side, watching it for a couple more moments. Then Boomer's going to take his 2 bags, and he's actually going to look for one of the families that we had seen earlier, where it may have been the mother,
sure,
very rundown clothes.
You can
and the many children.
You can definitely find someone like that.
Okay. I'd have the preference in trying to find 2 separate groups, but I will settle for just one that's the closest.
Sure. Yeah. You can. There's no shortage of poverty currently.
Absolutely. And I'm actually going to give the mother my 2 rations.
Sure. Cool. And Gogo, I assume you're keeping yours?
No, I would do the same. I would give it to a different family, though.
Sure, yeah. So you guys
Gogo's full.
Go give it away.
Gogo throws it on the ground
Yeah.
and steps on it.
No.
I think that...
Yeah, what no. Oh, God.
I think that you guys notice, too, you're not the only ones doing this. I think you see some of those,
It's like a Disney moment.
Right, yeah. I think you definitely see it, like the exit queue. Some of those, obviously more well-off people are, handing their rations off because they're obviously not of need. And yeah, the atmosphere is generally cordial.
So the business folk are going around and handing off their...
Yeah, the guys that are relatively more well off. A couple of them don't because there's assholes in every society. But yeah, no, I think that everybody's...
20 minutes ago just proved, but that's fine.
Exactly. There was a point to that. So then, I think that the first bit of turmoil occurs. I think that you on the ground hear it first, and then you up top see it, because the ones on the ground, you guys would be out of vision of this. But up top, you see at one of the doctor stations, you see a guy. He's kind of like a burly dude. He sits down on the bench, and like his sleeves get rolled up, and they inject him with the needle, and they do the vaccination, and immediately he goes into convulsions and begins like writhing and falls off the stool and breaks. And from on the ground, you guys hear a woman scream. It's the doctor lady. You hear her scream, and the two of you up top, you see this in action, but it's like a silent movie, right? Where he begins convulsing, and then you see he takes his hand and he like grabs his shirt and he just starts ripping it off of him. And he like gets up and he's like clearly like struggling to stand, but his arms, and you can see on the table, his hands are gripping hard enough that that the wood part of the table is actually groaning and cracking under his grip. And his head like rears up, and you can see that there's like foam coming out of his mouth. And then the two of you that are on the ground, all you hear from that, after the woman's scream, you hear... And obviously you at the group up top see the soldiers quickly gun down that individual immediately.
Yeah, so that was my very next question, is whether or not there are soldiers anywhere.
Yeah, all of the dudes handing out food are soldiers.
Oh, okay.
And every single one of them is armed.
So, me as Boomer, I wasn't actually able to see the reaction, but I did hear the gunshots and the dead body.
That's the difference, right? That's the 2 and 2 together. You guys heard everything. Up top, they saw everything.
I said on the comm pad, get out.
Right, yeah. So you also, like, you monitor, like there's a few more screams and some people are, like, running away from the exit. But up top, the soldiers walk over. You hear him put 2 more. The last 2 shots were 2 more into this guy's head. And then 2 of the medical people, they have, like, masks on. Like just like breath masks, not like, full biohazard suit or anything like that. They pick up the guy like underneath his armpits and they begin dragging him away. And as if in a surreal world, business resumes as normal.
So that's a common occurrence. Interesting. Now I want to know what they're Now I want to know what quotation marks they're vaccinating against in quotation marks.
Perhaps
or screening for.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. 2 different things. Or perhaps that's what they're vaccinated against, and it has a poor reaction if you already have whatever that is.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very.
Oscar is suddenly grateful that he has not taken off his face mask the entire time he's been on this planet.
All of a sudden.
I did mention that guy, didn't recognize you as an alien. Wong.
Wherever
where is Wong right now? He followed us into the crowd, and
right. He's probably in line. He's probably eating his cold TV dinner on the way back to his car.
The guy that just got shot. No big deal.
Yeah, it was definitely not Wong. Don't worry.
Oh, tell me, please, Jordan, tell me it wasn't Wong.
No, it was not Wong. Yeah, no. Without getting a better look, you wouldn't be able to like tell any defining features. But yeah. What's up?
Other people who are actually receiving these injections, can I see their reactions? Or is it generally just a very somber affair? If they get injected, they walk away.
You can definitely see like a bunch of people walking out, like maybe like rubbing their arm or like checking their Band-Aid. Like, yeah, they all look perfectly normal.
God, I personally want to do things, but Oscar is... His mind is elsewhere.
Do him.
So, no. I mean, Oscar is... He's curious, but he's not going to go run down there and, like...
Right.
Previous characters I have played would already be marching down there to ask what on earth they were doing.
I can think of one, I think.
But yeah, Oscar's just, got his eyes peeled.
So do we fast forward then to the... Because, like, nothing really yet. Of note happens during the rest of the...
Wait, do we still see that head volunteer guy? Like, is he still in, like, eyesight from us?
You could probably double back through the exit and find him, sure. But that would make you not part of the status quo and stand out. I
thought we were just kind of like standing off to the side.
No, so the plaza area is large. It's like the size of maybe half a city block, like this open spaced area. And so like you were directed and you walked a little ways to the booth, and then you walked, like, the exit is on like the like what would be like the 6 o'clock side of the Plaza Square area.
Sure, yeah. I just didn't know how far we had walked already.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so not that guy specifically, but you could 100% find a volunteer, like, standing at the exit, maybe, like, making sure nobody's coming back through, right? Like, that's 100% you could go up and talk to a guy. Like, if you wanted to go up and talk to a guy.
But he was the one who knew English.
Right, but they could then, obviously they prepared that inevitability, so you could then ask for an English speaker. Like, that's... You're making it harder than it seems to do. If you want to go up and get with a head volunteer guy, it will not be the same one you spoke with, but you could totally get one that speaks English and talk to him.
Okay, sure. I would ask him what the heck just happened. Why were there gunshots?
Yeah, cool. So you and Boomer, I assume you go with her because she's going back towards the gunshots. Just FYI.
Wait, I mean, I kind of got like caught up in our out of character discussion of this, but like Oscar totally would have calms down to those guys to say something to the effect of like,
you said get out, right? Or what's his name said get out.
Yeah. So there would have Margot and Boomer would be aware that this happened, like that someone receiving a vaccination was
for sure
executed.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I want to hear what their prescribed response is to that.
Sure.
Like, I want to know, like, what their line is for when that happens, what they say, or whatever their explanation is for it. I mean, I know what happened because you guys told us, but...
I just wanted to be clear because we were all kind of discussing that out of character.
Right. Yeah. No, I described it as the you hearing it, you seeing it part to make it more stylistic. That was not an intent to withhold information from either group. But yeah, so you could totally go up, and it should be noted too that like you guys on the roof, it's real easy to spot Go-Go. Like, she's got green hair, man. It's hard to miss.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that you've had tabs on her the whole time.
Yeah.
Boomer would be harder to pick out, but he's with Go-Go, so you can see him easily as well. But yeah, so you walk up to a volunteer and like you ask, and again he speaks Cantonese, so he waves over a like head volunteer, and a woman comes up this time and she goes, yes, how may I help you?
Should we be concerned? We're new here and we just heard gunshots and nobody seems to be running. Could I just ask what is going on?
She's like, oh, it is no problem. It is simply an oddity, a bad. And she's like stuttering like I am. I'm not doing that on accident. She's like, it's a bad reaction to the vaccination that we receive. But we all must be vaccinated. Otherwise, there would be much worse consequences.
What are the vaccinations for?
Oh, the typical diseases. and you like when she says that, that's a common term for like, you know, malaria and etc. Space diseases, like the giant medical list of book that has all the common space diseases that exist, is what she's referring to.
With my med tech background, would I know that this is a common practice, or does this seem really out of norm?
I think you should roll a tech medical and find out. Based
this
on
game is so hard.
What do you mean this game is so hard?
Like, I'm just sitting here like, I want to do things, but it's not my character.
Exactly. I'm trying to stick to my character. Me personally, I'd be like, well, we're out of here, guys.
So yeah, I mean, vaccinations are not uncommon, and vaccinations against the, like, what she has described to you is the equivalent of getting, why can I not think of the fucking drug that, the fucking...
Penicillin?
Yeah, penicillin, yep. Like a vaccine version of penicillin is essentially what she's described to you. And that's a common practice, yeah, it's not something that occurs uncommonly. Especially in worlds like this.
Turn people into the Hulk.
Right, yeah, it doesn't usually have a reaction to people. That's a known thing. Like, you don't even need a roll for that. But it is definitely a common practice to provide vaccinations via penicillin.
Dude, it's got to be something else. Penicillin isn't even going to be good in 10 years.
Right, yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, you would know that more than I.
But, yeah, anyway.
Right, yeah. Space version of Cure to the Common Cold.
Sure.
Because that's obviously invented by now. You also know... So, roll me a Culture Traveler. Either one of you could roll me a Culture Traveler. You or Gogo. I remember
which
you guys
ours is.
Still have your
do you have that?
Still intelligence?
Yes, still intelligence. Is recalling information, not searching for new information. A 6 is good. It's a basic success. Oops.
So like immunity physically is basically the same thing as the body's security, so I should be able to roll let's say security for this, right?
That was a good connection, Matt. Bravo on that one. Well
like
done.
Man,
Well done.
I can't do anything. I can't help here, guys. Sorry.
no. Are you gonna roll a
Thanks for
Go-Go?
effort there.
The Culture
Oh,
Traveler
I thought
roll?
you just said one of us had to.
No, you both can roll that. Just to, it's to recall information that I may or may not give you.
So what he was saying is
Based
that
on
a
your
6
roll.
may be not high enough to get all of the information.
Well, you both roll
Well,
6.
it didn't matter.
So what you know specifically about Furial is it has a hybrid biosphere, which means that not in this world at least, means that not all of it is natural. There are certain portions of the world that are man-made, essentially, or quote-unquote terraformed. Whether that plays a factor in anything, you'd have to make your own conclusions, but I can't give you a conclusion because you only rolled 6s.
No, I've got you. Okay.
Okay, so I would like some more information that I can get while I'm here.
Yeah, so what are you going to do? Right, again. I did
I-
recently play Fallout 3 again.
That's why I'm throwing it out there.
I would like to see what is written on the side of the boxes that they're giving people vaccines of,
Sure, yeah.
because I've got binoculars.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I think that it is a generic Shinobi Alliance logo with
all
the
they got on
red
it?
with the red cross on it. Yep.
There's no lettering. Or...
I think the packages and stuff coming out are specifically nondescript.
Okay.
You
what
can
about-
you can infer from that what you will.
Yeah, and same thing. Like, what about the food boxes? Do those have any markings on them? Or just...
I think the food boxes do have marking. I think the food boxes have like rations. Like, have you ever seen an MRE box where it has rations, quantity, like QTY equals, like, you know, 30 or whatever. Yeah. They have generic military kind of script, which is in a different language, but you can tell what numbers are. Numbers aren't different, right? So yeah, you've seen a box like that a bajillion times. It's very clearly like a standard issue ration box.
Okay. I think that's all my questions.
Cool.
I don't think I can get much more information from where I am.
Yeah, but you still got more being up there than you would have been on the ground.
Absolutely. Well, okay. One other question: you said all of the military is armed? What are they armed with? Are they all armed with the same weapons?
Most of them are armed with submachine guns or assault rifles. The clearly like officers in the group are armed with pistols, but they do not look projectile based. Probably lasers.
Okay.
So like fairly well equipped.
Yeah.
They're not wearing.
And it's all like standard issue stuff. It's not like
yes
pieced together. Like this guy's got an AK, this guy's got an AR.
Yeah, no, not at all. They're and in fact, you probably can tell this, and Oscar too. Like you have some military training, or at least pseudo military training. They're a pretty well-oiled machine. Like this is maybe in your brain, Fortune. You go back to when you were a soldier and you got some time off and you went out drinking with your buddies at a noodle place, and you were like, oh yeah, that's exactly where you blow off steam. They weren't necessarily being assholes, they were just blowing off steam. Yeah. Maybe you make that connection, right?
Nobody just shoots a civilian and then goes back to business without a good deal of
right, exactly. And that's totally something else, right?
That's training. That's not
exactly. And so maybe it's your first glimpse. I know the question was asked before, like, how are these guys even like dealing with the obviously tech superiority or some superiority that like technologically that the Shushu group have, and it's very clear that this might be why. Like they may just be way better trained.
Yeah, militaristically they're tactically way more advanced.
Yep.
Okay.
I should say too, armor-wise, they're not wearing. They're actually wearing. They're all wearing like woven body armor. So it's actually TL3. It's not TL4 equipment on their like armor-wise. So basically, like what we have in today's society, like the U.S.
But
military.
all the everything except for the pistols is projectile based.
Correct. Yeah, the pistols are laser pistols though, or energy weapons of some sort, etc.
Okay. All right, that answers my questions.
All right, I think at this point, I would just kind of, if Gogo seemed like she didn't have any more questions, just kind of that very subtle beginning to steer her away and breaking us away from the plaza.
Sure.
I would allow him to lead me away.
Yeah, cool. So I think now we fast forward to you guys walking down the street, which has mostly cleared by now. You guys, link up together, and it's the four of you walking maybe abreast. Who's the person to break the silence?
Probably Fortune.
Okay.
I'm probably like the least perturbed by what just happened.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm probably just like, so what are we doing tomorrow? And everybody else is like, are we talking about tomorrow? Some guy just got shot.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
Maybe.
I actually, Boomer would just kind of look at you and it's like, well, first I think we need to establish, are we going to go back to the room, or what are the rest of the plans for tonight?
Right, yeah, because you guys still have some time. Like, that took...
Oscar's... Yeah, sorry.
No. I was going to say, that took a while, but, like, the sun is just sinking below the horizon now, so there's still, like, plenty of the night left to go do stuff. You see lights that are, like, flickering on, but, as I said before, like, not every place is lit here. You are in a part of town that is not very well lit currently.
I think with that, Oscar would say, well, is our job complete, or is there further infrastructure we need to collect information on? I'm aware there's an underground. This could perhaps be even more valuable to Natalia.
I would also think we probably should get more information on the power plant, as much as we can, because
I think that this is a conversation we should probably have not outside.
Sure, yeah. So the
in the square, in
the darkness creeping in is like, maybe we should, go up to the room.
I mean, that said, we were just told that this place was pretty vacant, so I think we're reasonably.
There's not a whole lot of danger of surveillance.
Oscar is
currently.
The one who's talking about this. Like
I
has
think
assessed that.
I think this is just going further to prove they're just a little bit more on the paranoia side of Boomer.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Sure.
I think
vacant,
Boomer
but
is
I'm
being
pretty sure.
paranoid. Right. I don't think that is an attempt to defeat me. I think that is an attempt to play Boomer.
Cool.
yeah, to the same extent we couldn't make plans until we got in orbit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
We're in a very secure area on the side where we'd hired to be on. No, we can't talk here.
So sure, Oscar to that says, well, perhaps we should move along then. What is this about a power plant?
Right, because Boomer, I don't think.
So keep in mind, Boomer, Oscar was never informed about any of.
I don't think Boomer told anybody about because remember there was that power spike, right? As you guys were flying into the spaceport, there was that power spike that caused a bunch of turbulence that Gogu luckily wasn't too perturbed by. But Boomer, I think you were the only one that figured out what it was. I don't think you actually told anybody. And also, you have some other data, right? That you have to info dump. Although I don't know if you'll do that in private.
Yeah, I'm letting Boomer handle all of the information distribution here. So right. I'm just going.
Yeah, so if you guys go back to your room, Boomer sweeps it for bugs again. Yeah. Because you guys did disconnect the currently non-functional camera that was in the room. And did not find any audio.
Right.
So you guys are back in your secure... You're back in a place that makes you more comfortable, Boomer.
Okay, at that point, I would use the hollow unit that's attached to my data pad, and just kind of that regret that I haven't actually continued building my project yet for a brief moment, and then displaying an image of New Panlong, and then bringing up specifically an image of the power plant. So, what we do know is that upon our entry, when we were flying over the power plant, gesturing towards Go-Go at this point, as we were coming in, the ship experienced a surge. Well, luckily, because of Go-Go, we were able to actually compensate for it. We had a safe landing.